This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio. Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Joan and Janet are subtle energy empaths who navigate consciousness. Their passion is to support you in your evolution. As consciousness, we are all one mind, one heart, free of all limitations. Experience this reality with us and discover how it can make a difference in your daily living. Join us in a state of grace as we explore, with warmth and humor, this thing we call life. Now, here are Joan Newcomb and Janet Barrett.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We're your co-hosts, Joan Newcomb, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington, and my partner, Janet Barrett, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington.
No, I'm coming from Portland, Oregon. But...
I'm so glad because, I'm shifting between parallel universes. So,
welcome. Hello, everyone. I don't remember what I'm supposed to say, but I'm glad to be with you today.
Hey, if we make it through this show and remember each other's names instead of calling each other by our own names, we'll be doing good.
Yeah, we will.
Well, so today we are going to be talking about where's the magic this holiday season. Now, it doesn't feel very festive out there. There's been challenging weather and worrisome news and disasters here and there. So stay tuned today because we're going to talk about how to access the light when in the darkness of today's headlines.
Lots of things going on out there. And everyone, if you'd like to join us off the show, you can join us at our website, www.consciousconversationswithjoanandjanet.com. And there you can read about, we have wonderful blogs. Joan writes on Fridays. I write on Mondays usually. And there's all the old podcasts, so you can listen to them there. And we have all kinds of things there. Our websites, we have information about the way we do our groups and how we also one-on-one with clients. So be sure and check it out. And Joan's going to give you all that great info about the contacts with Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff.
Yes, for those social media fans, you can find us on Facebook by looking for the show's name, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet, and you can join the group and join the fun. Janet is also on Facebook as Janet Barrett. That's pretty simple. And I am on Facebook as Joan Newcomb. You can also find the show on Twitter at Joan and Janet on Twitter. And then Janet is on Twitter, and this is a test here. It's Janet Beyond. Janet Beyond. Okay. And then I'm also on Twitter, and I made it really hard for you. It's at Joan Newcomb. And then also, we are on YouTube. The show is on YouTube, and guess what? Go to the show's name, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. You'll find that on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube, Joan Newcomb. Isn't that a surprise? And I also post my videos on our website, Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. And I have to say, I have been doing Facebook Lives this month. I'm not certain if I'll continue that because next week is family is in town. So, but I have been doing Facebook Lives instead of my regular YouTube videos, so that's been fun too. If you're on Facebook, join me and ask questions up close and personal.
You always have great information available, Joan. So everyone, you want to check her stuff out. On Twitter, the only reason I have Twitter is because I put out my consciousness cookies for the day. So always a gentle reminder of just something positive to think about and contemplate while you're busy about your day. So what else do we want to let them know? Anything else?
I think that is it right now. My meetups are on hiatus while I am working. Well, actually, I'll let people know. I have a free 3 video series I am gifting people for the season. It talks about what is going on in the world today and why you might be feeling certain ways and how you can have a different experience. And then it also teaches the parallel universe technique that I share with all my meetup folks. So if you can't physically get to one of my meetups, this is the treat for you. I'm giving that away. If you want that information, email us at consciouswithjoanandjanet.com, and I will send you my free 3 video series.
Oh, good stuff. And, that's right. I do old meetups here. Oh, you'll have to pardon me, everybody.
In the
I'm flat
comfort
on
of
my
your
back
home.
still from my medical procedures. So everything's kind of slightly askew, but I'm here with you. And meetups, so Tuesdays and Thursdays here at my home in Portland, Oregon. And we have just the most marvelous time of conversation and a state of unified consciousness, heart-centered awareness, and where magical things happen, which is what we were talking about last night, which is what we're going to talk about today, how to enjoy your life. And that's up to you and what you want to do with it. So what else? That's it? We get on to our topic, magic?
Yes, let's talk about some magic.
What is magic, Joan? What's magic to you?
Magic. Okay. What is magic? That is a wonderful question. What is magic? Why don't you tell us what you think magic is, Janet?
Well, I know from my own sense, magic is something outside of your frame of reference. You don't know how it happens. Something just happens. And that's because you don't have all the details and all the information. And what it's like to live life with those kind of experiences that are empowering, that make you feel good, that enrich your life. And for me, that's heart-centered awareness, field of unified consciousness, which is what we're always looking to be in and for you to feel while you're with us on the show. And that's where it's about possibility. So that word magic may have just a formal definition, but for me, it's kind of this whole state of information. So that's it. What's it for you?
Well, my experience with magic is the unexpected. And that delightful feeling that you get when something seems to appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
You know, there's a sense of childlike wonder with magic, and so that's my more simplistic explanation.
Yeah. Right. Well, but you can see where there's a similarity for it. I think we also have to get clear that we hold magic in different kind of contexts. There's white magic, there's black magic, there's this, that, and the other thing. And what we're looking at is getting beyond those little limited defined labels and just going back to the wonder that something happened, like you're saying, unexpected, something outside the frame of reference. So it can be startling, it can be delightful, it can be lots of different things. And we're getting beyond what you think in terms. And, you know, often magic might be sleight of hand and that something is like someone's trying to fool you. And this isn't about that. This is about where the only thing you're enjoying is your own ability to manifest something that you hadn't noticed before or that you hadn't thought in that kind of context and enjoying yourself.
And the other thing that I think about with magic is it's really about consciousness creating into form, and that we as consciousness are always creating into form, but it is more apparent now, and it can surprise us more because it can show up more instantaneously. We don't have to do rituals, and we don't have to spend 2 years building the structure. It can come into form at any moment. Mm-hmm. Now, the holiday season is usually a time where there is more sense of magic. It's a time where you feel like the veils are thinner with the other side, and so it's an opportunity for manifestation and creation in a way that doesn't seem as apparent the rest of the year. It's not true, it's happening all the time, but there's more of a sense of creation coming into form at this time of year. And what we're talking about with like where it is because we have a lot of distractions going on. There's a lot of things going on that are taking us away from that sense of consciousness, that connection of consciousness. So we're going to actually get into this a whole lot in a few minutes here, but we have to stop for a commercial break. So stay tuned because we will be talking about where the magic is this holiday season when we come right back.
Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs. Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan. I'm along here with Janet, and we are talking about where's the magic this holiday season?
Yeah, I think it's important for everyone to tune in and just notice how they react to that word magic, Joan, because there is an awful lot of energy about that. And for me, it's not only magic. Magic is, it seems, well, you know, there's two different ways you look at things. You can see it as mysticism or you can see it as magic, right? Some people are going to go with the mystic and then others will term magic, I think. So it's an interesting way. What you described so well that happens, I think, is a lot, especially this holiday season, and I mean Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all that. It's because we're in the winter, and things are a little different in the winter. The energy is different, and we can think of crystal clear nights and it's cold and all that, and if you're in Los Angeles in the desert, you might not feel it that way or see it that way. But there is still this different energy that's present in the winter as opposed to the 4th of July, for instance, in that holiday. And it's how we interact and how we absorb and integrate all these different ways of being in our environment, I think. That was interesting.
Well, you know, that's an interesting point because we're coming up to the solstice right now. Tomorrow, at the time of this recording, is the solstice. It's the winter solstice. And it is a time of year where things seem to go dormant. Mm-hmm. And from the perspective of nature, it's really just going into the planning phase. So all the devas, the angelic realms, are in their planning phase for what is about to manifest in the spring. And the way I also look at it in the actual physical aspect of nature, it may look dormant on the surface, but there's all these seeds germinating beneath the surface. Right. Beneath the surface, there's, animals are hibernating in their dens. They've got cubs or whatever. So there is life. It's teeming with life, but it's not evident on the surface. So if you think about linking that to magic, there's the magic of creation going on. And in initiating and happening at this time, it just doesn't apparently feel like it. And the same thing with, it's the shortest day of the year tomorrow, but that means Friday it's going to start getting lighter. At the coldest, darkest time, it's really getting lighter.
And how we track that. That's interesting. Well, what is it? In this sense, magic seems more about the intangibles. What's more available is sense of connection. It's not so in the things. And we can be very busy doing things and getting ready for events and feeling all these stresses and strains. But it's in being in that moment of going from store to store and getting what you think someone would enjoy and having it be in the context of a magical experience. What if it was easier than you thought it would be? What if the object just appeared, and it was just clear to you, that's the perfect thing? What if when you put the pie together, everything just seemed to go? It's putting all these ingredients and it's about a state of awareness that you're holding for the holidays and interacting with that we want to really share with people.
It's the state of awareness. Yeah. And when you are at this state of awareness, it rises you above, or directions aren't really important, but you either get the sense of rising above or deepening within, beyond the static and the noise of the events in the news. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that things that are happening aren't impactful on a physical level. If something happens that is tragic, it's impactful on a physical level. But there's a lot going on out there that is also distraction from the greater, more potent, more powerful creation that is happening at this time. So tuning into the magic of the season, tuning into the awareness of greater consciousness, and my perspective is that you are greater consciousness, gives you a bigger viewpoint of all the things that are happening, and it gets you out of that roller coaster ride of emotions that are going on.
In a season, we're gonna be in remembrance, and that can bring us the awareness of our loss, of what is less than, but we have a sense that we're no longer attached to, or we're attached in a different way. And what I keep seeing as we're having this discussion is people looking up into the night sky, and it's cold and it's crisp, and you hear carolers, for instance, where people are their voices, that's the sound, because everything is quiet and that's the sound, and you hear this unity going on. And that's a magical state to be able to open your front door and there are people there and they're singing in song. And whether you agree or it's a different holiday, you celebrate, it's that coming together and marking the moment, right? And when you realize that you can have many of those moments and being on the lookout for those moments, that's magical.
Yes, I think it's just so funny how you're describing the carolers, and I know that you love to decorate.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for a nice Jewish girl, you have really embraced this holiday.
Yeah.
Because in Judaism, I mean, the Hanukkah is not that big a deal.
Right. But, you know, you go, let's party, right?
That's true. And Janet, that is you. Any excuse to party.
Any excuse, and to have a good time, and to be warm and gracious, and, you know, have the Hanukkah bush, you know, which is what a Christmas tree is, because that's my husband's tradition, you know. And enjoy the blend of the cultures, because I have a lot of Oriental things, you know, and then whatever it is, celebrate it. That's it to me, right? I mean, because it's that or you're dead. And you can be gone in a blink of an eye. And that's the awareness that you hold, because that's part of that tangible, intangible quality of the sense of remembrance, is that you realize where something is and where it isn't now. And that, it all kind of works together for me. And it's like, if I'm going to light a candle, I do it in a state of, there's the physical manifestation of the light. But my life is full of light on all kinds. But, you know, it's bringing fresh eyes. I think that's what magic is also about. In being open to seeing something different, to being in the state of, this is where I am, and this is where I'd like to be, and there I am, right? And you just navigate differently that way.
It's funny that you keep using the term remembrance, and I understand what you're talking about, but I keep thinking, you know, I went to high school in Canada, and I lived in England for a third of my childhood, so it's like Remembrance Day is in November, Janet.
Oh, they have a Remembrance Day. I don't know.
It's Remembrance
I don't think
Day.
we have that here.
We call it Veterans Day or something a little more unceremonious. But so, and England has it's slightly different. But what you're talking about with the sense of remembrance is like the veils are thinner here. So, and at any time that there is a holiday or an anniversary of kind, those that are on the other side are more present. And you also notice that a lot of people do seem to leave around the holidays. You mentioned about, you know, you can be gone in the blink of an eye. Yeah. And a lot of people do tend to leave. So the veils are thinner. There's a portal that opens where you can easily exit. And at the same time, we have more of a sense of connection with the unseen as well. And there was another thing I was going to touch base on, but I heard you inhaling, so go ahead and I'll try to recapture my thought. Go for it.
Go catch that thought. There it is. Okay, over there. Yeah, you know, it's just what becomes present when you get into wanting things to be different. It's all in our setup. It's our rules. Someone asked me last night in group. She says, I really like how you've taken this 6-week experience you've had lying down. I said, well, I could just be lazy because I'm a Libra, you know, but she says, you know, that would just tear me up. And I said, well, you know, what's your setup? I'm not going to fight this. There's nothing to fight here. There's this, to make this what it can be. That's kind of in my global view of how I live my life. And so I'm allowing for magic to happen. This was totally unexpected. And it's like, well, let's go with it, right? Because that's where you find yourself. And it's like, in the bigger context, I can feel how this is right where I'm supposed to be. And every time I think I'm going to get up, it's like, no, lie down. So it's that part of me that, you know, they're trying to navigate different realities here. And how in the holidays, when there's so much things we can get involved in and distracted by, how to stay on course. And I think that's a magical application, is that what is it that you want to get done, or how do you want to express yourself? What is your gesture about being alive? And staying with that and allowing that to unfold. That's a magical way to live, I think.
Yes, I hear that you are not resisting what is. And so you're not, which is great, because if you fought against it, more likely then you would make it worse and miss the gift in it, which is getting to catch up on all those wonderful romance novels.
Yeah, really.
And then the other thing is,
well, without feeling bad too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because we can go into judgment. I got to get that done, that. Oh, I can't get those done. Oh.
Right, because this time of year you would normally be extremely busy. You would be hosting, your husband's office parties and things like that, and that ain't happening.
That ain't happening, so we'll have to do something different, And it's like appreciating. It's not about me having to feel bad because I can't get those things done. It's me about going, whoa, well, not this year. What else can happen? And I would want that for our listeners and for anyone, that where your expectations hit your intentions, and the difference there, not judge yourself harshly about it, and allow yourself to go, whoa, okay, this is where I am today. Might be different tomorrow, but this is where I am today. And
thank you for mentioning that, because you reminded me of one of the other points I was going to make here, is that we miss the magic of the season because we get caught up in the expectations of the season.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And I saw this fun little video yesterday, of a little boy, and I think it was in Ireland. It sounded like the parents. They were videoing his first reaction to Christmas, and he came down the stairs, and he was dressed like Elf, and there were these white boot prints on the ground, like the parents had created these, Santa boot prints. It's like, ooh, Santa's been here, and he runs into the other room, and the biscuit is gone. So Santa ate his cookies, and then he went to the tree, and there was the bicycle he wanted, and all the other presents were there. And then immediately he ran outside to see whether or not Santa's reindeer had eaten the carrots he put out, and the carrots had been eaten. And what amazed me, or actually what impressed me about that, was that he didn't immediately start tearing into those gifts. The gifts were there where they hadn't been there the night before was magical enough, but then the next important thing was whether or not the reindeer had been there. Mm-hmm. And we miss that kind of magic when we get stuck on how many boxes are underneath the tree, and and they all have to be the super leading edge, you waited in line 10 hours at Apple kind of gifts. And what really all of us, our inner children, are just wanting to have the sense that Santa visited.
Well, you bring up a good point, Joan. That clearly demonstrates it was magical for the child. And then we all know that it was his parents who did it, or someone did it, right? And so, well, that's not so magical. And I stop at that, because what is magical is that look at what his parents created for him. Look at when he does that for his own children in years to come. And that is a magical moment. And what it would be like to be the adult who's still holding that things happen that make me feel good and give me a sense of wonder and open my eyes and delight me and tickle me. And that's what happens when you're still holding that magic is real. I think there's a point where a lot of people get kind of, that was just them doing that. And they lose that sense of magic. But everything was magical about it, and it'll play out that way if you allow it to continue. And it's okay to get older, right? It's okay to be the one who helps engineer that the next time.
Yes, you helped me realize that is exactly how my childhood Christmases were. And I think we also had the same thing on Easter once. But, the tree had nothing underneath it the night before. And then the morning of, it was full. And our stockings had been empty. Our stockings were full. And I went on to create that same illusion for my kids, way until, they left home to go to college. So, and that sense of, something happening like that is, I think, very important for us. And even if you are being your own Santa, you can participate in that magic. And you can, this is where I talk about you can be your own parent, and it doesn't mean it doesn't mean, to bring up all your crazy parent memories. It's like, no, I am not going to, yell at myself and emotionally abuse myself. I'm going to be the other parent. I'm going to be the other parent. Or I can be the good parent. I can be the parent I wish I had, taking myself out to get something special for my stocking.
Well, I like what you said about, magic being the unexpected or the unexplained, I think is somewhere there, and beyond my term using it, beyond the field of reference. When you do have the memory of something that was magical, and then you have the awareness of the adult of how that was engineered. And so it still technically is not magical because now you can expect it and you could set up for it. But what you really tap into is that wonder that was there to begin with. And anything that happens afterwards is still going to tap into that energy. And that's at our core, and that's in the child. And what you bring is the awareness of the adult having that experience again. And it feeds on itself. It's always present. That's what life is about. It's that wonder. And if you didn't get a strong sense of that as a child, then you as the adult can have your current moment of magic and wonder. And, it's any moment is an opportunity to enjoy ourselves, and no matter the circumstances, and to be grateful. I think part of that we associate those are with those intangibles, the compassion, the sharing, the community, the joy. And that's what's so enriching. That's all part of the state of, wow, okay, I no longer think of it as unexplained, or I have an explanation for it, and I'm crafting that to be the reality state. That's important.
Yes, and what's coming to mind too is the part of this time of year where we get to the darkest time, and then it starts becoming light.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of dynamic there.
It's so weird to me because I also think about what happens in the summertime is, we have the summer solstice, and then the days start getting shorter, but that's usually when we have the warmest time and the brightest sunny, at least in the Northwest, we have the sunniest time of year when the days are getting shorter. And and also in the Northwest, we have the coldest time of year when the days are getting longer. So we're in the midst of a very dark period of time on a multitude of levels, and yet really we're in the tipping point of going towards the light, of light increasing. Yeah,
you can just feel it. I think It is kind of nice when you get to a point where you realize it isn't about the commercialism of a season and whatever that might be, whether it's Valentine's or 4th of July or Christmas. You know, it's about those thinking of someone other than yourself. And we become apparent, it becomes really apparent to us what we have and what someone else doesn't have. And it gives us the opportunity to navigate that differently. And it takes us out of our contained environment and thinking that, you know, this is who I am and what I have. And it puts you in direct communication with someone who has a different set of environmental qualities. And I'm not going to say that they have less, because there are a lot of people that have less, and they're tremendously abundant in spirit and in those intangibles. So it's just in what they look like, it seems so different for us. But it gives us a way to navigate out of our own stuff and get beyond our secular little, insular little world. And that's wondrous to me too.
Yes, and I'm sitting in the wonder of that. I'm sitting in the sense of that light is really increasing, that things are actually getting better, that there is above the noise and above the cloud cover, the sun is shining 24 hours a day. So it really depends on, you know, which way we're turning. And it comes right back to, you know, either dropping into heart space or raising your focus to yourself as consciousness. However you're connecting to consciousness connects you to a deeper and greater sense of that, that there is increasing light here. And, you know, we're also talking about expansion and contraction. You know, if we talk about the physical level of it, you know, there's a visual way of perceiving it, there's the emotional way of perceiving it, and then there's a physical expansion and contraction. And when we're cold, we feel contracted. When we're feeling poor, we feel contracted. And when we're feeling distracted, we're by all the terrible things going on in the news, we're distracted. And that is that sense of contraction that's going on. And the what this holiday is about, you were talking about basically about generosity and giving, and that's coming from an expansive state. And we are also we are in a process of expanding as consciousness. Greater consciousness is coming into form, so we're actually experiencing that expansion. It kind of feels like our auras have stretch marks here that we're expanding so much. So I see as we're moving in through this season into the next experience is that it's getting better. We are getting better. We are growing and expanding and ultimately getting what we want. It just doesn't look like it if you're watching Fox News.
Well, there's so much to participate in the world, right? We're not just ourselves anymore. We interact in the world, and the world through our technologies, as social media makes all of that right here, and you can track all of that, which is really replicating what energetically we do anyway. There's a quiet that's getting present, Joan, that I'm tracking that is so precious to me that our listeners can tap into, that there is this relaxation that's taking place and there is this connection to self as consciousness and heart-centered awareness. And I really just want to make sure that that doesn't get lost for people, that it is real. And you go beyond magic. Magic is something, is a frame of reference or the unexpected. And expect magic to happen. Shift to that place. That's kind of the state that I am. I expect magic in my life. And that's what we want all of us to be in, is that state that anything is possible because the potential is there. Now, you've got probabilities that'll come into play. But how much of us really invites us to be at our potential? That's what disasters do. That's what community does, is it challenges us. That's what all these world events and local events and national events do. They're bringing us to a place of connection, and it's different, and embracing that. And it's a great time to be alive right now. And so that's part of my construct of how I want to live my life. So, you feel that quiet. It's a nice feeling.
It's true. You do feel there's like a collective relaxing. It's like there's a breathing in.
Yeah.
Taking a breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was, when you were talking, what it reminds me is that everything on this planet, it seems, is the opposite of who we essentially are. And the more we get in touch with who we essentially are, while we're in the process of doing that, the noise seems to get louder. I think it's because we get more sensitive to the noise. But it's amazing how you'll take something like this holiday period, which is really about reflection and being mindful and expressing generosity and being in the warmth of it all and the community of it all. And we'll be experiencing the opposite at the same time. So we'll be feeling isolated, and we'll be feeling lonely, and we'll be strapped for cash, and all these contractions, which are, it's just part of the illusion, the crazy part of this game of that we're all just body personalities, and missing the actual point of this is that no, we are greater, we expanded, and we are all connected.
Well, I think life is about contrast. That's what this being on this planet is about. It's about contrast. And, we can call it as duality. And then really it's about polarity, all the distinctions that get you from that to that, and where we are in these things. And, a lot of times it's a way to measure, well, what's different this year? This holiday. Well, can I even remember what I was doing last year this time? We have all these constructs and measurements and ways of tracking where we are, right? And even that is, how much do you want to be stuck? You can get stuck in the past. You can get stuck. It gets comfortable, and it can become a trap. And it is where you take yourself out of it to that state of holding yourself as consciousness, where you can look at that past and go, oh, wow, look at all those things that were happening there. And what is it I want this time? And how is this time, this moment, what I'd like it to be? And align yourself with that. So it's just different ways of, where are you this year? We've had such a year, oh my gosh, and collectively and singularly. And, we are all in this unfolding stage, and as nature is taking this time to, that the leaves are all gone, because now it's nourishing the wood, it's nourishing the stem, it's nourishing the core. And the tree does this every year, right? It goes through these phases, and nature understands that you always have to go back to core, and it makes a season out of it. And then it has a season of new growth, and then it has a season of flourishing, and then it has a season of harvest, and then it goes back to the center. And what a wonderful way to be. Because you don't need to set it up for a season. You just do that with your breath. You're in and out, in and out.
That's so funny. You're right. And it's like pruning bushes this time of year. Really, it sets the stage for increased growth. And so, talking about pruning, or at least talking about cutting, we're gonna cut to commercial right now because we have a commercial break. And stay tuned because we're going to be talking about where the magic is this holiday season when we come right back.
Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath, accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye. Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet, and we are talking about where's the magic this holiday season.
Where is it? It is
Where's the
everywhere. Yeah, really. I find it everywhere, right? And so that's my reality state, that magic is everywhere. And I just have to be open to it. I have to, and that's my expectation, that it'll be there. And you know, how in having that as my alignment and my fallback position, and things change, right? Yeah.
Yes, and it's like expecting a miracle, and I realized that we made it through this whole show without talking about Christmas miracles or the Hanukkah miracles, but the basis of the season is one of miracles, and to me that's magic.
That was it. I said mysticism, and I was really meaning miracles. There we go. That's where they got placed. Yeah. Different. It's the same dynamic. Something totally unexpected, doesn't have a frame of reference. And what I would throw in here quickly for people is how many of us think that can be real, but maybe not for us. And that dynamic. And that's what you play with, right? Is expect a miracle for yourself. And that means it's just something outside of your reference. Expect the magic for yourself. And then what happens when you hold that position? Your life is magical, isn't it? And don't you have miracles in your world, Joan?
Oh yeah, all the time. And
Yeah.
what I meant to say the last time that you brought this up was a few moments ago was about delicious anticipation. It's an Abraham Hicks thing. It's a state of, when you're doing law of attraction, that you put the request out, and then you maintain a state of delicious anticipation. So that's like expecting the miracle,
Right.
but it's keeping that childlike delight and wonder. And I think when you're in a state of delicious anticipation, there's the expectation that it's coming to you, but it also keeps you from going out to find it because you know it's coming. It's like, you better be home or you're going to miss Santa coming. If you leave right now, then Santa will come and leave again. So it's the same aspect that you put out the request to the universe, and then you have to be home for the universal parcel service to deliver it.
Right. And you want to make sure you're home so that someone doesn't steal the package off your front porch, right?
Yes.
There's all kinds of things that we become aware of anymore. Yeah. So can someone steal your magic? What do you think?
I think the perspective that somebody can steal your magic is not a perspective of consciousness.
Right.
When you're coming from that perspective, you're not operating as consciousness.
I think, you're allowing something to influence you.
You're coming from the state that there is something that can influence you. Yeah. And when your consciousness, we've actually launched into a whole other topic. Maybe this is for next week because it's a whole big topic to talk about. So make a note about that because because we're sliding into home, and I'm sure we have talked about this before. And so we're sliding into home. I want to remind folks how to go deeper with us and connect with us beyond the show. The show's website is consciousconversationswithjoanandjanet.com. You can go there to listen to all our podcasts. You can also read our blogs. Janet and I write weekly about completely different things. You can see the listing of our meetups. Janet does her meetups on Tuesday night and Thursday afternoon in her lovely home in Portland. And I do mine around the Puget Sound. I'll be scheduling ones for January momentarily. Seattle, Bellevue, Tacoma, and University Place. You can also learn more about our sessions. And you can also find links for us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and beyond. And also, just to let folks know that I do have a gift for you this holiday season. It's a free video series. You can find mention of it on our website and on our Facebook pages and on Twitter. And you can also email us at consciouswithjoanandjanet.com if you want to get that free gift. It's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. I missed that part. Yes.
Sounds good to me.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I want to leave everyone with the awareness that wherever you find yourself is where you find yourself. And just be kind. Just be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And no matter if you like them or don't like them or don't know them, be kind. That's all. That would be my gift to all of us. It's just to remember to be kind.
I really just, I'm feeling like quoting from Christmas Carol or something. Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, bless us, everyone.
Yeah, really, Well, it's present. It's needed. We've and people will do it. People do it all the time. Look how kind people have been to help each other in disasters and stuff. And, we can look at all the things that have happened over the last year, and the year in review shows, and you go, look at how people show up. Oh my God, we're amazing. We're just absolutely amazing.
Right. Well, it reminds us that the best gift we can give anyone is our presence.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you all. It's been a wonderful year. So, good season.
Yeah, and that no matter when you are listening to this, because I can just imagine people are catching this in the archives and, well, during the July 4th fireworks. So It doesn't matter when you're catching this, but because there is no time or space as consciousness, we're all connected all the time in the now. And so your energy has helped create this experience now. You have helped contribute to the morphic field of this show, and we appreciate you. So thank you so much for listening.
That's the magic. Whoa.
Yes. You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday.
Yes, and tune in next week, same time, same channels.
You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. And thanks so much for helping to co-create the show, no matter if you're listening live or on demand. You energetically contribute to our collective experience. Joan and Janet love to hear from you and invite you to email your comments and ideas for them to explore each week. Contact them at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Tune in next week for another great show, and until then, keep enjoying this wonderful adventure we call life.